is accepting someone before they walk through the door.
No matter what their background, their religion, their lifestyle.
It's about accepting people for who they are as individuals.
Their culture, their family, their traditions.
Tolerance is celebrating the diversity that makes us great.
Tolerance. Honor the differences.
Picture a world of respect. Visit tolerance.org to learn more.
I'm Ebong.
I'm Marlene.
And I'm Kate.
And today we're dishing with you from Hook, which is located at 3241 M Street Northwest. And can you imagine how beautiful these colors are with this wonderful beer that we have next to it? And we're going to find out more about that from...
It's going to be fantastic. So the beer is actually not from Hook. It's from Hook and Ladder. Isn't that cool? I think that's pretty exciting. But I bet it does taste pretty good with that beet salad. It's going to be fantastic. So we're with the CEO of Hook and Ladder Beer. I want to know, Washingtonians, do they like their beer?
They love their beer.
I bet they do.
They love their beer. They love their Hook and Ladder beer too.
Well, Hook and Ladder Beer is the only local brewery.
We are. We're headquartered in Silver Spring, so we're just literally, I can throw a stone into the city from our offices. And we're based right outside of DC in Silver Spring, Maryland, and have been there for 5 years. We're just celebrating our 5th year anniversary.
Yeah, we couldn't even wait. We had to.
I know. We cracked it for the anniversary.
We cracked it. We're tasting a little bit of it. But you brought 4 different types.
Yes.
So you don't make just one beer.
No, we make 7 beers now, but these 4 types are in our fall winter anniversary variety pack that we are just released within the last 5 weeks. So now you can find them all throughout the city at this point. They're delicious. They're delicious. We have our basic, our golden ale, which won the gold medal at the Great American Beer Festival, and this is kind of our flagship beer, and it pairs very well with fish. I mean, it's one of those nice, crisp, clean beers that kind of really is refreshing and goes very well with fish. And then we have a couple of new brews, which is our Flashpoint Pale Ale, which is a pale ale, which is actually we released it as a seasonal, but everyone loved it so much, so we said, you know what, we're going to keep it going into the springtime and keep it as an all year round beer. And then our anniversary ales, which we're drinking right now, is a Belgian style double ale. So it gives a good Belgian yeast to it, and it's just really, it's about 6.3% alcohol, so it's a little extra kick.
So Belgian beers have more alcohol in them?
They can, yeah, sometimes. It depends on the beers. I mean, it depends on, a lot of people think that the heavier the beer, the more alcohol it is, but that's not necessarily true. It's really like our Golden Ale has 5.5% alcohol, while our Backdraft Brown, which actually won the Washington Post National Beer Madness Champion in 2008. So it's DC fans love our Backdraft Brown.
That's brilliant.
But that only has 4.5% alcohol, so it doesn't necessarily mean it's a little bit heavier than the Golden, but because it's heavier doesn't necessarily mean that it just has more alcohol.
So what makes heavier beers are more filling? What makes it more filling?
More malt.
Okay.
More malts, yeah. So the more, typically if you throw more malts in, you can, and you basically, or you're trying to create, the yeast creates the sugar and byproduct of CO2 and alcohol. But if you put more malts in and you don't create enough of the alcohol, the sugar, then you have more malt with less alcohol.
So do you have a situation where when you're brewing your beers, I'm going to ask you about your inspiration in a second with regards to beers, but as relates to pairing with food, because nowadays you're starting to see a lot more brewmasters think about that as it relates to creating beers and the type of food they like to have paired with.
Who needs wine?
Nowadays, before we used to be wine pairing, now it's beer pairing. So
so we do. I mean, I got married last summer in May.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And actually,
I hope nobody brought you beer.
No. We had our own beer at the wedding, but we actually paired the menu with for food with our beers, and that's where the recipe for this anniversary ale came from, because instead of having a champagne toast, we had a Belgian style beer toast, and then everyone loved the beer so much that we ended up releasing it as an anniversary ale in our variety pack.
So it has special meaning for you.
It has special meaning.
It's very nice.
Yes, all of our beers have special meaning for me, but yeah, that one definitely. Our beers pair very well with different styles of food. I mean, I'd say our Flashpoint Pale Ale it's got a lot of hops in it, so it's about for beer hoppy geeks, it has 35 IBUs, which is called the International Beer Bittering Unit. So it's not real high on the hoppy scale, but it definitely has a lot of character to it, and goes very well with spicy foods. So because you can kind of balance that hoppiness and that little bit of bitterness with the spicy.
So
foods.
higher the hops, the more bitter it tends to be for the most part. Okay.
Yep, exactly.
So we kind of talked about beer versus wine in relation to food, but let's talk about in terms of tasting, because you brought 4 different types.
Yes.
How exactly do you taste a beer? Are you supposed to swirl it around and all of that
yeah,
business, or
yeah,
what's
definitely.
the right way?
I mean, that gives a lot of the oxygen when you put your nose. I mean, it's exactly like wine.
Same way?
Oh yeah. Put your nose in, get a big deep breath. Get a lot of the. I mean, this is our Belgian style. So I can open up the golden ale, and we could drink that. This has some more of a.
He just did that with his bare hands.
Oh yeah. I usually, I do. I have like
serious,
I have a little
strong
mark here. I
hand
have a little
in that.
mark here.
And
that,
it's not even a twist top. This guy's just.
I know. But you can say this has a little bit of a.
Now, what would you pair that with? This again?
I would pair it with
I'm not
tuna.
fast
So we've got
enough.
tuna
I can't drink my
tartare
beer
here.
fast enough. Hold on.
Chug.
And I was like, quick.
So you're saying you'd pair this.
I would
with
pair
tuna?
this with a tuna or a salmon, actually. Salmon goes very well with the golden ale.
So tell us.
Lighter style foods.
I love hearing about the beer, but I want to know, why did you choose DC? Are you from DC? Did you just think DC needed a local beer? Why are we local?
All of the above. Yeah,
Awesome.
I mean, we grew up in. I actually was born in DC and grew up for the first 4 years of my life in DC, and then we moved out to
A rarity.
Bethesda, the good Bethesda suburb area, and we grew up out there. And we actually, the concept for Hook and Ladder Brewing came. My brother's a firefighter. He joined the rescue service when he was 16 years old in Bethesda, and we wanted to build a company that not only created a quality product but also gave back to the community. So a penny in every pint and quarter in every case goes back to local burn centers. So here in DC, it goes to the DC Firefighter Burn Foundation, which helps burn survivors and burn victims and research and technology for the local firefighters in DC area. So,
Wonderful.
Oh, that's amazing. The philanthropy and charity is part of what you're doing in the business. I think it help bring awareness, also help flourish with sales. And
it's part of our everyday. We've now raised over $75,000 for burn centers around the country. So we're now distributed, even though we're headquartered in DC area and in Silver Spring, we're distributed in 28 states now with 140 wholesalers up and down the East Coast.
So can we find Hook and Ladder beer in restaurants throughout the DC area?
Restaurants throughout the DC, Maryland, DC, Virginia area. You can find this new fall winter variety pack, which has these 2 new flavors in it,
Nice.
and a lot of the stores in the area. So.
well, what prompted you to start with the variety pack? Because that's actually, for me personally, it's relatively new. I love beer. However, I never really saw, for example, if I liked one particular type of beer or ale or what have you, it's nice to have a variety, then I can decide what I want out of it, and then maybe go after that particular one later.
Yep.
So how did you decide to make that to have a variety pack?
That's exactly it. We wanted to give the consumer a variety of different types of beer. I mean, you have a golden ale, a pale ale, a brown ale, and then a Belgian style ale. So you really have a wide spectrum of taste profiles and flavors with those beers, and you can decide. The consumer can decide. I really like this golden ale. I'm gonna come back for a 6-pack of that. So.
Well, we're going to try them all, but we're going to have to do it off the air because I'm too slow for that.
Well, take one little sip and.
Thank you so much, Matt, for
Cheers.
joining
Yes,
us.
no, it's my pleasure.
And
Thank
as
you for having
always,
me.
thank you for joining us here on this episode of The District Dish.